Margaret Dawson stood outside the courtroom doors with trembling hands clutching an old leather purse. At 68, her silver hair was pinned neatly back, and she wore the same navy blue dress she had saved for special occasions. Today was not a celebration. Today was the day her only daughter was trying to take away the one thing Margaret had left, her home. Inside the courtroom, Olivia Dawson sat beside her husband, Ethan. Olivia wore a crisp white blouse and expensive jewelry. She looked confident, almost amused. When Margaret entered, Olivia leaned toward Ethan and laughed under her breath. "Look at her," she whispered. "She still thinks she has a chance." Ethan shook his head and smirked. "This will be over in an hour." Margaret heard them, but she said nothing. Her heart ached more from their cruelty than from the lawsuit itself. 5 years earlier, Margaret had lost her husband, Robert, after 43 years of marriage. They had built their modest home together, painting walls late into the night and planting roses in the front yard. Before he died, Robert had made Margaret promise one thing. "No matter what happens," he had said, squeezing her hand weakly, "never let anyone take this house from you." Margaret had kept that promise. After Robert's death, Olivia and Ethan moved in temporarily. Margaret welcomed them with open arms, cooking meals and caring for her grandchildren. But temporary turned into 2 years. Ethan quit his job. Bills piled up. Margaret used her savings to keep the lights on. Then Olivia came to her with a demand. "Sign the house over to me," she said coldly. "It's going to be mine eventually, anyway." Margaret stared at her daughter, stunned. "Your father wanted me to live here as long as I wanted." Olivia crossed her arms. "You're old, Mom. You don't need this much space." Margaret refused. A week later, she was served with court papers. Olivia claimed Margaret had promised her the house in exchange for years of care and support. She presented typed documents with Margaret's forged signature. She was suing for ownership. The betrayal nearly destroyed Margaret. For weeks, she cried herself to sleep in the room she once shared with Robert. Friends urged her to settle, but Margaret knew she was telling the truth. And Robert had taught her never to surrender to injustice. As the hearing began, Olivia's attorney painted Margaret as confused and forgetful. He argued that Olivia had sacrificed years to care for her mother. Margaret's attorney, a young woman named Claire, rose calmly. "Your Honor, we would like to call one final witness." The courtroom doors opened. In walked Harold Benson, Robert's lifelong friend and the retired attorney who had drafted Robert's will. Olivia's smile vanished. Harold took the stand and adjusted his glasses. "I prepared Robert Dawson's estate documents," he said. "The house was placed in a protected trust. Margaret Dawson has exclusive rights to live there for the rest of her life. No one can force her to transfer ownership." The judge leaned forward. "Are these terms clear and legally binding?" "Absolutely." Claire then handed the judge another document. In addition, Mr. Benson brought a letter written by Robert Dawson 3 days before his death. Harold unfolded the yellowed paper and read aloud. "To my beloved Margaret, if anyone, even our own daughter, tries to pressure you into giving up this house, know that I have protected you. This home is yours for as long as you live. Never doubt your strength." Margaret lowered her head and wept. Olivia looked pale. But Claire was not finished. "We also submitted the alleged transfer agreement to a forensic examiner. The signature is a forgery." The judge's expression hardened. He turned to Olivia. "Did you knowingly submit falsified documents to this court?" Olivia's lips trembled. Ethan stared at the table. When neither answered, the judge spoke. "This case is dismissed with prejudice. Margaret Dawson retains full rights to her home. Furthermore, I am referring this matter to the district attorney for investigation into fraud and perjury." The gavel struck. Margaret sat frozen, tears streaming down her face. Outside the courtroom, Olivia approached her. "Mom, please," she whispered. "I didn't mean for it to go this far." Margaret looked into the eyes of the daughter she had once rocked to sleep and sacrificed everything to raise. "You stopped being my little girl the moment you chose greed over love." Olivia burst into tears. Ethan walked away without a word. Months passed. Margaret tended her roses and slowly rebuilt her peace. Then one rainy evening, there was a knock at the door. Olivia stood on the porch alone, soaked and shivering. "I left Ethan," she said. "I've lost everything." Margaret's heart tightened. Years of pain flooded back. But beneath the betrayal, she still saw her daughter. "Come inside," she said softly. Over tea and tears, Olivia confessed that Ethan had manipulated her, feeding her resentment and greed. But Margaret did not excuse her choices. "You were wrong," Margaret said. "And forgiveness takes time." Olivia nodded. "I understand." She visited every week after that. She weeded the garden, repaired the fence, and listened to stories about her father. Slowly, trust began to return. One spring morning, mother and daughter stood together among blooming roses. "I'm sorry," Olivia whispered. Margaret took her hand. "I know." For the first time in years, they embraced. Margaret kept her home, as Robert intended. But more importantly, she regained something she thought was gone forever.